Hey, Warrior Saints, glad to have you beautiful people with us today on this glorious Wednesday. Some people like to call Wednesday Hump Day. I am one of those people. Happy Hump Day. It's that middle part of the week where we're just moving forward and we're trying to keep going and just keep pushing through as we go through what we're going through in our day-to-days, trying to get towards the weekend. That's the mentality behind Hump Day. It's this idea that we just have to keep moving so that we are staying in motion. But we don't ever take time to think about the fact that, do we want to stay in motion? Is it motion towards something that is a good thing to be in motion towards? Is it something that we're actually going to be doing that is beneficial? And I think this is where I'm going to pick up from what Father Chris has been talking about the last couple of days with the Pope's new decree. This is not purely to take shots at Rome, but it's to use the Roman Catholic Church in the modern era as kind of an example of that idea of we're moving forward. Are we always, when we're moving forward, thinking about where we're going? Are we trying so hard to be relevant that in that relevance, we get rid of the things that make us us? And I'm not in the mind of the Pope or the popes before him, so I don't really know. I think that they are thinking that they're moving forward in an attempt to stay relevant, and that's a good thing. But I think in the outcomes, we're seeing that as that happens time and again, and this is just one in this new decree blessing same-sex marriages is just one in a slew of their modern history of doing that. I think they're losing who they are. And what I mean by that is we are called to understand who we are and to stand firm. St. Paul even talks about this in Ephesians chapter 6. We hear in verse 10, be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his might. Be strong. Be firm in the strength of the Lord's might. Which he then follows up after explaining what that looks like in verse 14 when he says, finally, take on the whole armor of God so that you are able to stand firm against all the things that he talks about needing to stand firm about. But ultimately, the first thing that he's telling us to stand firm in is being strong in the Lord and in the strength of his might. We're called to follow those commandments and to be firm in what it means to follow God's commandments, to stand strong in following God's commandments, to stand on the side of Christ. That's hard. The disciples struggled with it. Peter denies him 3 times because standing on the side of Christ means that we are going into this battle, which is why St. Paul uses that terminology. And we're going to be rubbing up against the world that is telling us to be relevant and rubbing up against things that are telling us to pull in different ways and to just lay down and submit, because it's easier to submit to whatever you're being told to submit to than to stand strong in God's word. But we are called to be different. We are called to be beyond that. We're called to be warrior saints. That's why we even use that terminology, warrior saints, because we know it's hard. We know it's tough out there. And we know that standing firm in God's commandments, standing on the side of Christ, walking that path that he has laid out for us, which we call the way of the warrior saint, is not going to be easy. And so we're here to help you through that process. That's why we're creating this movement and have created this movement and are building this army of warrior saints. It's why we keep using this terminology of us all going through it together, getting to the point where we are firm in understanding God's commandments, and then we have a battle plan put together that takes us where we want it to go, that shows us the way that we are going to put those commandments into actions in our daily lives. That's precisely what we've got going for you at warriorsaints.org. You're going to find Understanding the Bible, which is there to help you understand God's commandments. And then you're going to find the battle plan, which is how you can take those commandments, put them into action in your life today, and so you too can stand firm, having taken the whole armor of God. We'll be back again tomorrow as we continue our Crucifixional live stream. And until we see you then, keep walking on the way of the warrior saint.